This is my Tirukkural reading done for the Tirukkural study group, and this is lecture number or reading number 4 from the Foreword by Honorable Mr. Justice V. Subrahmanyam in the 1962 edition of Tirukkural, translation by Dr. Reverend G.U. Pope and 3 more people. So last time we talked about a definition for aram. Aram is also can be thought of as duty, ethics, dharma, all those things. But Valluvar personifies it as if it is also the justice or judge who will justify whether a person is living by moral codes. So now I will continue. From the time the Kural was published, the Tamils have recognized in it their own inner voice, speaking to them of righteousness, justice, and morality. In describing human relations and in formulating laws of success and causes of failure, Tiruvallur was concerned only with the essential nature of human beings and disregarded forms of faith and passions, and passing fashions of social or political behavior. That accounts for the ring which the couplets have of eternal validity. No non-Tamil studied the language but fell under the spell of Kural. This volume contains translations of the Kural made by 3 such distinguished Europeans and by a distinguished Indian. So the thing to realize is that Kural only talks about the essential nature of human beings, as said here. It disregarded the forms of faith and passing fashion, which means there are things which could keep changing, and certain things you cannot say forever, like the dress code. You can't talk about dress because it depends on the climate, the culture, fashions, and so on. But certain things which are essential, like speaking the truth or trying to know the truth, speaking good words, and not showing anger, all these things are essential. There are so many things which are of essential nature. And so Judge Subrahmanyam feels that the reason for Kural being fascinating, or reason for anybody who comes across this book is fascinated, is one of the reasons is that the fact that it is not going by faith or passions. And it also says here that anybody who learned Tamil was sure to be captured by Tirukkural. It has been the other way around also. That is, there have been people who came across Tirukkural, some couplets, and then they get fascinated. And in order to understand, translations are okay, but to go to the original, you have the beauty. So there are instances where people learn Tamil because of Kural. And Mahatma Gandhi, I'm told, he learned Tamil just because of Kural. And G.U. Pope himself was interested in Kural, and so he started learning Tamil, and he learnt it so well that he gave this translation, which stands very good even today, though some people may not agree with the interpretations. And his translation, not only that, he has written a book on Tamil grammar. He learned Tamil so much that he was able to even write a grammar. Okay, I will continue the reading. Every schoolboy in Tamil Nadu is familiar with the name of Dr. G.U. Pope. I doubt it, but they may know the name. I mean, those who take Tamil and study it as a language in school, perhaps. But these days, many, I'm sure, more than 50% of the Tamil population do not study Tamil as a language. They take other languages so that they can get good score, and or the justification that they may have to work elsewhere outside the nation, and so the emphasis goes elsewhere. But at least in 1962, probably, when people like Dr. Subrahmanyam and myself, when we went to school, we were familiar with the Tirukkural and G. Pope. We all studied Tamil. So, G. Pope made the study of Tamil grammar easy by his elementary textbook on the subject. I myself haven't seen that book and I don't know where it is, but it's news to me that he wrote an elementary textbook on the Tamil grammar. He was a missionary who, in the last century, served with the devotion the cause of education and of Christian religion in this state. But his title to affectionate remembrance on the part of the Tamils rests on his translation of the Quran given in this book and his introduction of the treasures of Tamil literature generally to the English-speaking world. See, this introduction is what the new copy has eliminated this introduction for God knows why, and I find that's a valuable information is there, treasure of information. People may not agree with all of that, may not want to relate with all that is said. That's a different question. But in the late 19th century, when G.U. Pope wrote the translation, he lived here, and perhaps some of these things he observed, and that's what he has given in the introduction, which we will be reading later. His rendering of the Quran in English verse is given in this book under each couplet. The Reverend W.H. Drew was a missionary who worked in the Madras state in the first half of the last century, that is, the 19th century. W.H. Drew is one of the translators. They are translated partially, not the entire book. Some couplets or some part of the book, and even Besky, I think the first translator in Latin. The missionaries usually did not want to translate the third book, the Kamatupala, the one dealing with love or domestic love. So, Drew was one of them. He studied Tamil under the renowned Tamil scholar Ramanuja Kavirayar and secured the publication in 1840 and 1852 of an edition of the Quran in two parts containing the text, Parimelar's commentary, Ramanuja Kavirayar's amplification of the commentary, and Dr. Drew's own rendering of the Quran into English prose. So I didn't even know that there was a Ramanuja Kavirayar and his commentary on Parimelar's, because we can see even Parimelar's meaning, this word by word translation is hard to follow. That's a 10th century uh, 10th century interpretation or explanation of Kural was by Parimelagar. And even if we get Ramanuja Kaviraya's amplification today, most of us will have problem following it and understanding it because the language has been continuously undergoing changes due to the impact of English and other aspects. Anyway, I wish somebody could find out and get this Ramanuja Kaviraya's amplification. That rendering, as revised by Reverend John Lazarus, is also given under the text of each Kural of this volume. I didn't find it, but anyway, let us see. I didn't find any rendering by Reverend Lazarus, not definitely under each Kural, maybe in some Kural here and there. The Reverend John Lazarus was an Indian missionary and a Tamil scholar. Besides several works in Tamil dealing with themes drawn from Christianity, he published an English translation of Nannul and a dictionary of Tamil proverbs. I wish we could get these books published and made available for reading or even electronic. I don't find it in the Tamil University library, virtual library, nowhere. I think we need another UVSA, the Tamil Tata, to do that work. Mr. Francis White Ellis, this is the third person who also has translated, was an Englishman who was in the Madras Civil Service from 1796 until he died quite young in 1819. So this person, Francis White Ellis, lived only for 23 years. Such a short life. But he's an Englishman, and within those 23 years, see what he has done. His love of Tamil was deep and strong, and his proficiency adequate for composing competent verse. His rendering into English verse of some chapters of the Quran are given at the end of this volume. He was snatched away by an unkind fate before he could complete the task of translating the work as a whole. Dr. Pope was particularly struck by the similarity of some of the ideas expressed in the Quran with the teachings of Jesus and liked to picture Tiruvallur pacing along the seashore with the Christian teachers and imbibing Christian ideas and day by day working them into his own wonderful Quran. The Quran is not a mosaic of doctrines taken from several faiths or cultures and pieced together to form a work of art. The Quran, on the other hand, is an integral painting of a civilization which was harmonious with itself and which possessed a clearly recognizable unity. The couplets which Dr. Pope had in mind were such as the following. So these things, the two couplets that I'm going to read in Tamil and give the English translation, were perhaps, they are common to all religions, all major religions, but of course, coming from Christian nation, as a Christian, he perhaps first saw that in Jesus' teaching, and so he thought this Quran has got so much in common with the teachings of Jesus. So it says, Inna Seidare Orutal, our Nana Nanayam Seidudal. Inna Seidare Orutal, our Nana Nanayam Seidu. This means the best way to get over or to return to somebody who hurt is to do good to them. Okay, so that's what Jesus said. If somebody hits you in one cheek, you show him the other cheek. that kind of a thing. So actually I recently learned that there is a what's called Christian Desert Fathers. They had a custom when they are insulted or hurt by somebody, they make it a point to go them and visit them and give them some good gift. That's exactly what Tiruvallur says here. Second one, similar to that, Inna செய்தார்க்கும் இனியவே செய்யாக்கால் என்ன பயத்ததோ சால்பு. Inna செய்தார்க்கும். Inna means not pleasant, unpleasant things. Iniye means pleasant. Inna செய்தார்க்கும் இனியவே செய்யாக்கால் என்ன பயத்ததோ சால்பு. So here it's a question. If one who wants to claim to be a cultured person, let us say, Salbu means so many things: culture, good nature, mature, humane, etc. So what the use of all this if one cannot do good for even those who attacked them or who did bad to them? So these two couplets attracted Pope to Kural because here he says the teachings of Jesus. Their echoes are no doubt found in the Sermon on the Mount. So these two couplets can be found in the Sermon on the Mount. But so does Tiruvallur's declaration that all men are created equal. Finds echo in the American Declaration of Independence. So this is another thing. American Declaration of Independence says equality for all. So here in one couplet he says Pirappukum ella uirkum, which means all life is born equal. Every life is born equal. There's no high life and low life. So both these sets of statements form in the Kural parts of a coherent statement of doctrine which includes couplets like the following, which are of the essence of Saiva Siddhanta ethics. So here Honorable Justice gives two couplets which could be claimed by Saiva Siddhanta people. See, the way Tirukural is written, that he does not mention any particular faith, religion, or any of those things. But still, they are good and they can be found in any, at least some of them could be found, all good things are found in all religions. So people can find their faith, their teaching, their prophet in these couplets. And here are the two examples. I'm going to read them in Tamil and then give the meaning. Some of the Kurals are so beautiful for those who know Tamil. The way of using the word, same word with the different meanings, and repeat it. Here is one. சார்பு உணர்ந்து சார்பு கெட ஒழுகின் மற்றழித்து சார்தரா சார்தர நோய். சார்பு உணர்ந்து சார்பு கெட ஒழுகின் மற்று அழித்து சார்தரா சார்தரு நோய். This comes under the chapter, this is Kural number 359, under the chapter Meyyunarthal. Meyyunarthal means realizing the truth. So this has got a spiritual aspect. I will read three different translations of this same couplet for you to compare. And of course, there was one by P.S. Sundaram. I don't have full details of this, but I have got Sundaram's translations. So what it says is, to one who clings and does not cling, clinging ills will not cling. Anyway, that doesn't make, just for the fun of it, like the original Kural has got sarbu, here the translation contains the word cling. So when you read the other translations, you will understand. Um, G.U. Pope, the true support who knows, rejects supports he sought before. Sorrow that clings all destroys, shall cling to him no more. Again, this is also poetic translation. We are better off reading the explanation given by G.U. Pope. He who lives has to know him, who is the support of all things, and abandon all desire, will be freed from the evils which would otherwise cleave to him and destroy his efforts. So essentially, by giving up everything and attaching to the supreme power, which has no attachments, doesn't have any dependence, that's one way to be freed of all the evils. Next one is பிறப்பென்னும் பேதமை நீங்கச் சிறப்பென்னும் செம்பொருள் காண்பதறிவு. This is Kural 358 in the same chapter. பிறப்பு என்னும் பேதைமை நீங்க சிறப்பு என்னும் செம்பொருள் காண்பது அறிவு. I will not elaborate on this, just it is quoted here, so I am reading it. But we will see all these couplets and as we go along. I will conclude this reading here. Tamilagam is grateful to Dr. G.U. Pope, the Reverend W.H. Drew, the Reverend John Lazarus, and Mr. Ellis for their selfless devotion to the cause of learning and literature and their labors in rendering the Kural into fine English verse and prose. Our thanks are due to, in no small measure, to the South India Saiva Siddhanta Works Publishing Society for throwing open the doors of this great treasure house of beauty and wisdom by means of this publication to our non-Tamil fellow citizens of the world. Madras, Madras, 7th of February 1958, signed V. Subrahmanyam. Those of you who are in Chennai or in Tamil Nadu, if you can find out from the Saiva Siddhanta Publishing Company, if they have this edition or if they have any idea of bringing out this complete edition with all this introduction and foreword and everything, that would be a great help. I've got one copy, but that copy is falling apart, and that's one reason I'm going through this. I got it, but like many of us, caught by work, so I haven't really spent time reading all this. Now that I got the time, I thought as I read, why not I put it in the Facebook, and if not today, sometime somebody will come and read these things or listen to these talks and will be motivated to go beyond. So that concludes my reading from this foreword. We will see what to do next. If people come for the discussion meeting, we can talk about what is wanted, how do we proceed. My aim or my idea is to bring the wisdom of Thiruvalluvar. Not so much the poetic beauty is there, but for poetic beauty, one should learn Tamil. So that's, if you know already, that's fine. As you go along, there are many sources online, elsewhere. Of course, they vary in their interpretation, sometimes opposing interpretations, but it's up to you. But the wisdom, as found in the other book I have put in Facebook, the cover by Dr. Krishnamurti, Tirukural, a Management Treasure. I think that's what I want to focus on. And there are several chapters, and the approach there is to not go chapter by chapter in the Quran, but topic by topic, topics which are of useful for management, for success, and that's what I'm going to do. Thank you and goodbye.